If you ask me, there's pretty much no better season to drink whiskey than fall. So here's 5 great fall whiskeys. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So that's right, today we're talking about 5 great fall whiskeys. For me, fall, as the nights get a little bit cooler and you start wanting to sip on some bourbons and whiskeys that really warm you up and just speak of all of those good fall flavors. It really just is a match made in heaven. Fall and whiskey, they sort of just go together. So for this list, I have chosen 5 whiskeys that are non-allocated, non-limited. These are not ones you're gonna have to go out and hunt this fall. These are ones that you can get pretty much anytime, anywhere. Some might be a little bit harder to find, but overall, these are 5 whiskeys you can find that I think just really speak to fall, and I have certainly been gravitating toward and grabbing more as the weather and the seasons change. Before we dive into the list, do just want to say first, thank you for all the support of the channel. Recently, we've been growing pretty quickly, and it's been super exciting. Second, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. Really trying to ramp up toward that goal. We're gonna do a fun giveaway once we get to that point. So if you haven't already, please consider hitting that big red button. And while you're at it, if you're liking the video, hit that like button. All right, everybody, let's dive into the list. So the first whiskey we have on this list is a bourbon, a classic quintessential bourbon, one that's good in any season, but honestly, it really goes well for fall, and that's gonna be Wild Turkey 101. Pretty much every top 5 list of any bourbon ever could have Wild Turkey 101 on it, to be honest with you. But for fall whiskey, I mean, it's really hard to beat. There's such good cinnamon spice here going on. It's got that little bit of Wild Turkey funk, gives you a good warm Kentucky hug, lingering good brown sugar notes. Just a really, really nice sipper overall, and I would never turn this down on a cool fall evening. All right, second bottle here, we're gonna stick with the same distillery because Wild Turkey really nails that cinnamon brown sugar spice, and this bourbon has that in spades, and that's gonna be Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. So Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, unfortunately lately has gone up in price quite a bit. I'm starting to see it in the $80 to $85 range, which is a little bit disappointing. Used to be more like 60, 65 bucks, which is what I picked this one up for. Still a really quality bourbon overall, and for me, this one just has incredible brown sugar and cinnamon notes that any fall night, any fall day, to be honest with you, it's just gonna really hit your palate really, really well. I enjoy this one as the months get colder, but I mean, it's just good all year round too. All right, so bottle number 3, we are gonna step away from Wild Turkey here, go to a different distillery. This one is actually a bottle that you guys all recommended for me to go out and buy in one of my What Should I Buy Next videos, and it has been blowing me away recently, and that is Miktor's Sour Mash. For me, this has sort of an apple pie kind of center to it. It's got good apple and pear notes, light dusting of like brown sugar wrapped around all of that. Sort of a bready note in there too. I'm just overall really impressed with it and think that those flavors really fit fall very well. Reminds me of sort of like Thanksgiving. If I had to maybe pick a whiskey right now that I would have as sort of a desserty, sweet, and really delightful pour after Thanksgiving dinner, it might be Miktor's Sour Mash. All right, everybody, we're down to the last 2 bottles. So bottle number 4 here is gonna be one that has a higher rye mash bill. So some of that spiciness comes through, which is great for fall, but it's still got this warm caramel vanilla center to it that's awesome. And that's gonna be Bellmead Reserve. So this one is being discontinued and pulled out of the national market. I gotta get that out there, PSA, but there are still a good number of these out on shelves that I've seen. Some places are doing clearance sales of them and trying to get rid of them. So I would highly recommend this fall might be your last chance to really go out and get a Bellmead Reserve. Again, it's got good apple notes and cherry notes, kind of like the Sour Mash, but it really ramps up some of the spiciness because it's an MGP product with a high rye mash bill. Again, it's so good and rich, and I highly recommend you try to get one before it's too late. Okay, now last but not least, this is the reason we can't call this a 5 bourbons list, because this one is in fact a rye, though it's barely a rye. It is a phenomenal rye, especially for bourbon drinkers, and that's going to be Pikesville Rye. So this is 110 proof rye whiskey, but it's only 51% rye with a good amount of corn in there. So it's got this nice brown sugary spicy center to it. The rye adds a little bit of herbalness and lots of baking spices as well. But overall, it's such a cool blend of what rye can bring and what bourbon can bring. So certainly still a rye at the center, but definitely a great fall sipper, especially for those bourbon drinkers out there. And I actually have the Pikesville poured up tonight and sipping on it, so cheers everybody. That brown sugar and that spice, oh, it's so nice and rich, and there's even caramel in there and a little bit of oak. Just exactly what you're looking for fall. All right, everybody, that's gonna be my full list of 5 great whiskeys for fall. If you went out and picked up any of these bottles this fall and sat there and sipped on them, I think you'd really enjoy them. And I think you too would agree that they match those fall vibes really, really well. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey, enjoy it this fall, and cheers.